I had to relearn house, like the, you know what I'm saying, some of the obscure and the you know what I'm saying, obscure tracks more or less than the, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that's already known. So as far as footwork sets, that's what I'm most familiar with. It's not a real preference. Like if I could, I would play it. If I had to give an opportunity, I would. I would also, you know, slow down the footwork tracks to 140. Okay. Originally, both of those tracks were 160. So Feel For You was originally the track that I made at 160, right? Somehow I got convinced to, like, yeah, you should do a 140 version. So I slowed it down and chopped it short because it was like 4 minutes. So we cut it down. Speechless was the only one that was 140 originally. And then I sped that one up to 160 and changed a whole bunch of other stuff along the way after the breakdown, after the 33 is, after 32 bars is completely different. It's already preset. Like I saved the preset, right? So I have my MPC inside of Ableton, right? The VST is in Ableton. I got all my return channels already pulled up, and then I got my sample or audio channels and 2 MIDIs. And whatever else I may need, you know what I'm saying, I just add it in from there. It depends. Like I might be using 2 or 3 sounds, right? And that's where you have 2 or 3 MIDI tracks. That VST, and plus my computer has 32 gigs of RAM. So that's the other cheat. You gotta make sure that, so you're not having CPU spikes, you gotta make sure your computer is up to par as far as your RAM and whatever's being utilized in the background or besides your DAW. Perfect. Always be cautious of that. And you know what I'm saying, if you don't have that, I would say update and get something with 32 gigs or better. One that's not out, that keeps getting pushed back. My album that's supposed to be on Teklife. It's called All Night Flight. So the connection for that is basically Rashad gave me the title for the project. You know what I'm saying? Like there was something that we was gonna put out. It was me featuring him and Manny, and that's how it was gonna go. But that eventually ended up turning out to be going to be my album. It's just a long, like a list of them, right? It's a lot. So I think the moment that he was like, "You got it," that was one of them, right? When he's telling me, you know, you got it. As far as production go, like how to make the music, that was one thing. As far as like times that we done hung out, it's been a lot of them joints. It's you know, Texas would be one. We're gonna want to tour for him with his birthday, and then another dope ass memory would be Pitchfork Weekend. Getting driven around in a cart, not gonna lie, it beat the hell out of walking. That was one thing. I mean, the heat was terrible, but the event was definitely you know, one to remember. Right. I was just giving them samples. I was just giving, like, you know, we had talked, and now the same thing with Morris, with Spin. We had just talk music, right? And then eventually, when me and Rashad got tight, we talked music, but I was giving them samples. Like, man, you should listen to this. Check this out. Maybe you might want to use this. And there, you know, it's a few things that he ended up using for, like, say for instance, I had a Louis Vega flip of God's House, right? The House of God. And he ended up making a track called House Juke out of that same sample. Another one that he ended up using that I gave him was Patron in My Cup, right? that was basically that DJ Class Kanye West flip. It's called I'm the Shit. Man, I feel like it's changed drastically since then. Like if you're talking about when they was just doing it to house music and ghetto house, like the speed has changed, the style of it has changed. You know what I'm saying? You can still hear the elements of it in there, but it's drastic from the original beginning. We talking about production, right? Now, if we talking about like it's way more crews that have been spotlighted now at this point, I want to say, as far as the music crews or production crews or DJ crews go, right? Well, we talking about dance troops, right? So that's way different than like footwork crews. We talking about like the House-O-Matics, the UFIUs, the K59s, Phase 2, and that's South Side, right? You know what I'm saying? And we go west, we got Main Attraction, and then a little north and northwest, Full Effect. And was it Sky's the Limit out west, and so many other groups. So that's really like the community focus came from them. I see. Because the battle groups end up coming off of, you know what I'm saying, from House-O-Matics or from UFIU. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as the membership goes. I see. Because then the first group was what? The Pack and the Dungeon. Well, the Dungeon then came, the Wolfpack and the Tunnel. And then everything followed suit from there. And that's on the south side. And on the west side, it was, I think, Phase Squad, and then they broke down and it became Heat Squad and 187. It's a loaded one because really what we need is infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? The needs of the people are practice spots. Not just practice spots, you know what I'm saying? Like a way to have steady revenue. So be it shows or be it workshops, something where, you know what I'm saying, they can teach the craft to, you know what I'm saying, to the public. We need infrastructure. And something that the city of Chicago actually needs to step behind rather than, you know what I'm saying, sit back to see what everybody's gonna do. Now you saw what people have been doing over the years. Now you need to follow up behind what you've seen and put foot forward and help. You know what I'm saying? Like all these arts and dance grants and all that, that's what people need access to appropriately handle business or facilitate, you know what I'm saying, locations. So it's not just like you doing this as a labor of love, you know what I'm saying, because that'll burn you out. You do anything for a labor of love and you're going to end up getting jaded or lose sight of what's actually important. So you need to have some sustainability behind it so you can actualize your own personal goals. It's like sound palette. There's certain things I like. Well, I wanted to incorporate, right? You know what I'm saying? As far as like the music goes. Like when we start talking about Latin house and, you know what I'm saying, like all the nuances in the production there, like the bongos and the congos and different things, different instruments that would be used over there that's not necessarily used on a regular basis. And, started incorporating that stuff. Started using that. Or like sampling songs that spoke to that so I can replay the instruments. And a lot of those things that get replayed, I usually just drop them in an MPC, trim it and clean it up and then replay it by hand. Now we talking about like the people just advocating and making sure, like, because we got the bros on from Cicero Beat Down. That's Pills, Remy Nez, and Big J. You know, that's a part of Ghetto Technicians, you know what I'm saying, before we transition to Teklife, right? So we got them, and then we got the homies from Ghetto Division. That was Microdot, Mad Jazz, Louis Q, Rampage, Boy Genius, and Charlie Glitch, and Rob Threezy. You know what I'm saying? We got them cats that was making juke back in the day as well. You know what I'm saying? So like, just making sure everybody get they proper shine, and you know who they are. Like, there should be no reason why you don't. You know, there was no, unlike that article, and that's what I was saying. I think the last interview, there was never a separation of, you know, oh, this is Latin juke, oh, this is black juke. No, there was never that. You know what I'm saying? It was all one thing. It was just straight juke music, right? The only difference was because of the lay of the land and how gang culture and street culture was, and how segregated Chicago is. You know what I'm saying? Certain neighborhoods you wouldn't be able to get into which one of you until you get your, you know, your Latin homie with you. One of that's distinguishably Latin, meaning they look the part. Like, as much as I can speak, walk the walk and talk the talk, you know what I'm saying, I just don't always look the part. So my homie, you know what I'm saying, with the shag, or that looks, you know what I'm saying, straight up Mexican, or, you know what I'm saying, or Puerto Rican, I gotta go with him to get into certain neighborhoods, or them to get into certain neighborhoods, because they already look the part and they ain't gonna get harassed. I'm just going to go party. We ain't really on nothing else. But the extra shit came with it, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes. So, you know, it was what it was. But now it's kind of like a lot different, you know, especially in the era of social media, because people can distinguishably look you up, or they remember you. Like, oh, here, DJ, let him go. You know, you get a lot more, what's the word for it? You get a lot more leverage now. I got one I can't tell you about. Not yet. Like, I'm legally bound for that one, but it's a remix, I'll say that. It should be out in October, and it's gonna be real big. I got another project coming up. I think maybe November. Maybe. If not late October, then it's November. But I don't have all the release details yet. That's the label, see, you know, that's their thing. And then I'm still working on All Night Flight and another Night Slugs release. A follow-up behind Back to the Beginning. Get involved. You know, you actually have to come here to, you know what I'm saying, and actually show face, and, you know, where the community is, you have to be, right? Community ain't on the north side like that, not no more like it used to be. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna find it, you know, you'll find pieces of them in the clubs, but that's not where you're gonna find the majority of them. You gotta go to where they are. You gotta attend the events. You know what I'm saying? If you do this thing of ours, right? And I say of ours because everybody that's involved is ours. It's not mine alone per se. So you do this thing of ours, you should be spending your money in the communities where, you know what I'm saying, where we do this at. Not just that, you know what I'm saying, supporting something that people in the community got going on. Like Boudilla got the podcast. Also Boudilla has, you know what I'm saying, Bang Out Workout. You know what I'm saying? Well, behind the name is the podcast. And that's with J-Ron, you know what I'm saying? So you got all these different people with different things, like Beans from the West Side from 187. He has a catering business called 1013. You know what I'm saying? Demisha from Terror Squad, she has a catering business. You know what I'm saying? Like Shanice from Terror Squad. She has Fancy Fit. She has also products, women's products that she sells, you know what I'm saying, specifically just for women, not even for men, you know what I'm saying. So let's properly advertise these things. We got my homegirl Miss J. She has an infused catering business. So not only does she do regular food, but she does infused products too, you know what I'm saying. So there's all these different people to do these different things where you can actually, you know what I'm saying, land and put money into to support what they got going on outside of just the footwork shit. You know what I'm saying? They all make up the totality of what we got going on. Don't just sit on the west side when you get booked. I mean, not the west side, you know what I'm saying, and in the nicer parts of the neighborhoods when you get booked to come here and spend your money, you know what I'm saying, at places that don't even reflect the way you look. You know what I'm saying? Actually come down. And that's how you get to know that, like, damn, Chicago is different than what they say it is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's only it's only in certain zones and certain times, you know what I'm saying? And you'll never really run into that as, you know what I'm saying, its entirety. Like, you gotta stop you know what I'm saying, looking and living a stereotype, you know what I'm saying, just because you look at some shit on the news or Facebook or Instagram. Actually come and experience it for yourself.